Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Zach Attack Reviews, where I break down the good, the bad, and the ugly of movies, TV shows, and more. Today I'm going to be breaking down why Superman and Lois is my favorite TV show this year. It made me laugh, it made me cry, it made me cringe. All the emotions all in one. Spectacular action, great, well-written characters and story, and I'm going to break down each of those reasons why I think it's the best season of television I watched all year. I want to start off by saying that Superman is my favorite DC hero. I absolutely love this character. I think he's very underrated because a lot of people think he's this overpowered, goody two-shoes that can just punch through anything. But the best Superman stories are when he's dealing with problems that he just can't punch through. And we've seen so many versions of the character, all the way from the old school black and white, where he used to just save cats out of the tree, all the way up until Zack Snyder's version, where he's a demigod and the world hates him. And my favorite versions of Superman are when he is dealing with issues that we all can deal with and relate to, that we can't punch through. And I was wondering, what were they going to do here for this show? Because this is coming off the Crisis Infinite Earth storyline that happened in the Arrowverse, but it's like a soft reboot for the CW verse in a way that all the stuff still happened, but it doesn't reference it in a way that if you've never seen any of it, you won't understand what's going on. So I thought that this was a great show for anybody that wants to jump into the DC shows to start off with this, because it's a step above of everything that's came before. So the show starts off with Clark Kent, Superman, with Lois Lane. They have twin boys. They're now 16 because of what happened in Crisis. They aged up. That's the only thing that you need to know going into this show in reference to Crisis of Infinite Earths. Superman and Lois are, nobody really reads the newspaper, and they're reporters, so their job is cut for Clark, because obviously he's the lesser of the two. Lois, the famous intrepid reporter, he's kind of just the camera guy, and sometimes he gets stories. And in the midst of him getting cut from his job, his mom also passes away, and it creates this dynamic where now all the support that Clark Kent Superman would have when he's not being a superhero is starting to fall away, and he's dealing with normal human problems that he can't just punch away. Yeah, you could say, oh, he could just go rob a bank, but then that would destroy his normal life, the things that he loves. He wants to live as a good person, so you always got to remember that Superman, Christopher Reeve said it the best.
The reason that I'd want to do something like Superman 4 is to offer up for children in America and everywhere else is a fun entertainment which has an actual character at the center of it, that has a character who's caring, who loves people, who's considerate, who's a gentleman, as a possible antidote to the Rambos and the Chuck Norrises and the Schwarzeneggers and these. I mean, I think all of those are comic books, as a matter of fact. Rambo is more of a comic book figure than Superman is, in my mind.
Superman is the friendly neighbor. If you always remember that, you can always understand his character. He's the person that you can go to, that neighbor that will always help you. So what I'm going to start off with is talking about the good. One thing when you watch a lot of superhero shows, it feels like there's a villain of the week, and it might have a storyline that's going from beginning to end, but it jumps in and out in a way where it doesn't feel like a complete story sometimes, or they kind of like wrap it up to the last 2-3 episodes. With the way they did Superman and Lois, it is a weekly show that you can watch, but it's definitely a show you can binge. It feels like a 15 episodic but movie. Like it was a movie that was 16 hours long. Instead of cutting it down to 2 hours and cutting all the extra stuff that we might see, they spread it across 16 episodes, and it feels good to get everything just fleshed out. Everybody has true character arcs, and I really liked how it felt like one long story being told with twists and turns. And even if you're a comic book viewer, that they found ways to make it very exciting and the twists you wouldn't see coming, because they took certain classic comic book characters and also added characters that aren't in the comic books and played with your expectations, which was really good. And what really helps that episodic movie-like quality of the storytelling and how they do it across the 15 episodes is the tone. They hit the tone just right. It has that cheeky family drama cheesiness. If you're lactose intolerant, you might throw up, that the Arrowverse has, but it doesn't overdo it. They have, the Arrowverse is famous for pushing different things about sexuality and race and putting it out there into their storylines, into their characters. They have elements of that stuff in this show, but it's just little seasoning. It's not like right in your face where it's like, okay, I get it. I just want to see some superhero action. The family drama, the sci-fi story is all in front here, and it sets it with the real tone of where it kind of feels like Man of Steel a little bit, but mixed with Christopher Reeve's Superman. And I think that's a really great mixture, where I think, even though I love Man of Steel is my favorite origin movie for a superhero of all time, where I think where Zack Snyder fell off or kind of lost a lot of people is that he didn't show the happy side, the hopeful side of Superman. Yes, he can be sad and down and think a lot in his head, but he's also a character that wants to help people, and we didn't get to see that a lot with him doing that as a smile with Henry Cavill Superman. Here we get both sides. We get the Superman that's struggling with his emotions, what he should be doing, and then we also get the goofy, happy Boy Scout Superman. We get a really good mixture here that makes his character very, very entertaining. He doesn't feel like a pushover, which I think is a really, really good take. And as someone that's a big fan of Superman, I think that the show does a great job of respecting the mythos of the character. Then there's no way here where I think like in some other DC shows recently where they're like completely disregarding how important certain characters are or breaking what they do in the comic books or even past iterations. Here they fully respect it, and they respect different versions of the character. The hopefulness and the cheesiness of Christopher Reeves is here. The small town charmingness of Smallville with Tom Welling is here, and the darker cinematography, the flight and the fighting and the action and some of the tonal darkness of Man of Steel is here as well, and it comes with a really great mix. And they have Easter eggs galore. They expand on some of the mythos from the early shows and early comic books to even the newer comic books like the New 52 and even Rebirth, where they take some of those elements and put it into the show. So if you're a Superman over the years, an older fan or newer fan, there's something here for you to pick on. And then they add characters to the mythos, because in the comic books, Superman and Lois has one son, Jonathan Kent. In this show, they have twins, and one is Jonathan Kent and one is Jordan Kent, named after both of Clark's fathers. And what they do here, what is really great, is that Jonathan is very similar to his comic book character. Jonathan in the comics is very similar to Clark, and Jonathan here is similar to Clark as well, where Jordan, he's dealing with some mental disability, some emotional issues that causes him to be bullied a lot of his life, and it's hard for Clark to relate to him because he doesn't deal with any of those things. He's been picked on, but he doesn't have those issues. He's always been strong emotionally. He has to be because of his powers. So that dynamic there of Superman kind of basically dealing with a little Bruce Wayne is really interesting, because if you know like how Clark and Bruce Wayne, they're best friends, but they butt heads a lot because of those emotional differences that they have. So that dynamic between the four of them, Clark, Lois, Jonathan, and Jordan, is the heart of this show. It's the core of this show, and it's one of my favorite TV families. These four really came together, and they feel like a real family on TV, which is great. So when everybody's in danger, you really care. And I also have to, I've been talking a lot about Superman, and just mentioned the kids who's really great. And I gotta say, Jonathan Kent must be protected. If you watch the show, you definitely know that he gets the short end of the stick time and time again. So hopefully season 2 he gets something, because it's really bad. But I have to give big props to Elizabeth Tulloch, who plays Lois Lane. She is the best live action Lois Lane that we've gotten so far. She captures the fearlessness of this character. She captures what is so powerful and why Clark Kent respects her so much, because she's the good in humanity. She wants to help no matter what. I feel like she would be doing the dangerous things that she does in the show, even if she didn't have Superman to save her by her side, because she just needs to get the story told. She needs to make sure everyone knows what's going on so they can be informed and make decisions and be protected. And they do something here in this show with the multiverse to show that aspect, that even without Superman, that she will still be the same person, which was really great. And she has such powerful moments and conversations with her son and with people that she's trying to help that made her like top of the line, my favorite Lois Lane. I have to give her definitely props. Hope you can hear my clapping. She did a great job. And with the story of the show, like I said in the beginning of the review, it's the family dealing with the death of Clark Kent's mother, him losing his job. They have to move back to Smallville. They're trying to revive his mom's farm, which is almost going to be sold. And this is not big spoilers. It's all in the first episode. The first episode, which is directed really great, and it lays down all the groundwork for what's going to come with the show later. They're dealing with all those issues while they're also, there is this stranger that Superman has no idea who he is, but knows everything about him and is threatening his life. So he's trying to not only protect the world, protect himself from this guy, make sure his kids are okay as well, and also trying to, make sure he's a good husband as well. So he's dealing with a lot of personal issues, which they make it a very interesting way, because like Spider-Man is always being pulled in different directions. He's trying to finish school, he's trying to help Aunt May, he's trying to be the best superhero that he can be. They gave those problems to Superman in a way, and it's problems that he cannot punch through, which I really liked. And the themes of the show, a small town dying, Smallville, obviously, which is related to what's going on in the world here. It's in the middle of the country. A lot of farms, a lot of farming towns, a lot of fishing towns are not doing well in America anymore. And a lot of those themes are here. Stories of revenge, a loss of family, insecurities, mental health, race, all in this show were done and written so well where it doesn't feel like it's intruding on the storyline. It's just part of the natural life that's there, and they don't try to beat you over the head with it, which I thought was really good. And it's all tied within the story, and the characters act out each aspect of this very, very well. I also want to start touching on the VFX and the quality of the action. I think they did a really great job for about 90% of this series, doing great VFX. They go out into space, he goes to different countries. This show's scope is so much bigger than most of the CW shows. Honestly, it's so much bigger than most superhero shows with what Superman does and what the other characters do in the show. A lot of it is in Smallville, but he gets to go to different places. And it makes Superman feel like a worldly hero, because he's not just a hero for America, he's a hero for the world. He's trying to protect everyone. And I thought that the VFX and the suits and the costumes were almost movie level. It's not there, but it's just a lot better than most TV costumes, and the VFX that they use is just amazing. And here's where I'm going to rank the characters. I'm going to rank, I'm going to start off with my favorite and then just go down the list. Number one, my favorite superhero on the DC side, Clark Kent, Kal-El, Superman, and that's really important. One thing where I knew Tyler Hoechlin was going to knock this out of the park before this show started, in an article he said that people need to understand that Superman is a trifold character. He doesn't have one side. He has Superman, which is the hero that he presents to the world. He has Clark Kent, which is his human side, which he presents to his family, and then he's Kal-El, the alien side, that person that wants to know his alien knowledge, and all those aspects are explored here to great detail. He suffered losses on each of those sides. He suffers, for Superman, public trust. With Clark Kent, obviously his mother dying, and also something happens to his alien side, which is great. And in relation to of having kids who are also half alien, it's a very great dynamic, and Tyler Hoechlin does a really great job of playing this character and showing the different aspects when he's meeting another alien, how happy he is. He's having someone that also can relate to being not of Earth, but also how human he feels in certain scenes. Like when he's off being Superman, he feels larger than life in the show. But then when he takes off the costume and he's just home, he feels like a regular guy. And that is how you're supposed to make Superman feel. Certain scenes like this, where he looks amazing. And then certain dorky scenes like this where he's just trying to fit in and not let people know that he's this superpower being.
Bystander? Your dad seems like he's really struggling.
Yeah, Dad's a new assistant coach.
Do you need any help, Mr. Kent?
Hey, sir. Oh, great. Hey, Coach gave me a jacket and I bought a hat.
So I gotta say that I think Tyler Hoechlin is the best Superman that we've had so far. He had a lot of aspects of other Superman before him, so he does have to, they have to get credit for that. The Christopher Reeves, the Brandon Rouths, Tom Welling, Henry Cavill, he has aspects of all that, plus from the comics itself, he's an amalgamation of all those things, and I think he's the best Superman that we've gotten so far, and I'm excited to see his growth as we move into the next season. And I already shouted her out, but my second favorite character is the person that has the second billing is Lois Lane, played by Elizabeth Tulloch. She does like I said, I'm not gonna go deep into it because I already said she does a fantastic job as this character. Hands down, best live action Lois Lane, no contest. And she has an episode in the show where it's like mostly surrounded by her, one of my favorite episodes of the season, that made me legit tear up because it was about a very serious topic, and the way it was handled and the way it was acted, I don't know if she went through what they said that the character went through in real life, like the Elizabeth Tulloch, the actress, but she did it in a way where it was so believable, and it really hit, and it kind of prefaced how you see her for the rest of the season, why she acts the way she acts. And sometimes you're like, whoa, why are you so angry? And then you get it because of that episode. And I thought that was a perfect way to bring a real world problem in, that's something that people need to talk about, but put it within the frame of the story, so it doesn't feel like it's just random, like you're just trying to push a theme on my head. It's grounded within the story itself, and Elizabeth Tulloch knocked it out of the park. And the next characters on my list I'm going to rank is they're a pairing because they're twin brothers, Jonathan Kent and Jordan Kent. Jonathan named after Jonathan Kent, the Superman's father, and Jor-El, which is Superman's biological father. These characters are really great. They seem like real brothers. Sometimes when you see these characters on these shows, they don't really feel like they're related, but I can see the interaction. They have a lot of great chemistry. They argue, they bicker, but they always have each other's back no matter what. They cover for each other when they're in trouble, but it's going to go too far, they snitch on each other. It's just a really great dynamic. And Jonathan is the jock. He's a sports guy. He's really great at football. He's really good athletically, where it makes you feel like, okay, he probably has powers. And in Jordan, he suffers from a mental illness. He has social anxiety. He's the one that gets bullied, and people come down on him all the time, and Jonathan always has to protect him. And he's the one, and this is a slight spoiler, but it's like early on in the season that you figure this out. He's the one that gets powers. So Superman's powers are based on emotions, and Jordan is emotionally unstable. He's not there yet. He can flip on a dime depending on what's happening. So for him to be having parts of Superman powers and not being fully stable emotionally and know how to control it creates a very interesting arc for him throughout the season. And it creates a very interesting arc for Jonathan now, because he is the athlete. He is the person that was always seen as superior one, even though he doesn't treat himself like that. And now he's the one that's getting, Jordan's the one that's getting the favor. Now where does that leave Jonathan? So now we have interesting dynamic between how Jonathan feels left out with Superman, because he's paying more attention to now the son that has powers like him, and he's now having to relate more to his mother because they're both non-powered characters. So it creates a very interesting drama dynamic throughout the season that coalesces towards the end. Another two favorite characters I'm going to bunch together because they're two of the antagonists of the show. The Stranger, played by Wole Parks. He was fantastic actor in this. He plays this stoic character that can just very emotional in his eyes. You can see what he's going through. He has this mission in his head. He needs to save the world by killing Superman. What? That doesn't make any sense. Multiverse hijinks. That's all I gotta say, is the multiverse is the reason why he believes this. And he's partly correct, which is really a really interesting aspect to show, like, we know that the Superman is a great person. They show it throughout the whole season. But this character, the Stranger, the character Wole Parks played, what they call him Captain Luthor, he has reasons to believe that eventually we may get evil Superman, and the evil Superman trope is, it's I'm tired of it. It's been going on. Injustice, Red Sun, yada yada. The list goes on, but it's done in a very interesting way, and it's executed really, really well on how they bring that topic in and his motivation and where he starts in the beginning of the show, and the more we find out, and where he ends at the end of the show. It's really, really fantastic, and he has one of the best twists that I did not see coming. But then my eyes opened wide. It was like, duh, I should have knew this. I should have saw this coming. I gotta say, he is the Man of Steel. And I gotta shout out Morgan Edge. This character, I thought he was gonna be my least favorite character of the show when he first started out. He felt like the simple villain that twists his mustache. And he's like, I'm gonna get over on everybody. The corporate douchebag that wants to take advantage of people. The person they set up for Lois to battle because she has to have something to do. It's equal billing. She has to have her own villain. But it's like that for a lot of the season, and sometimes he fades in and out of the show. There's episodes without him in it, but he eventually, the more and more you find out what his plan is, and the more and more you find out about him, and then there's a particular episode where all the cards are put on the table. He becomes an amazing, multifaceted, well-acted character. The Morgan Edge character becomes something fantastic. The final characters in the list, I'm going to bunch these together too, is the Cushings, the family of Lana Lang. She's now Lana Cushing. She's married to Kyle Cushing, and they have a daughter. The daughter is friends with Clark's boys, Jonathan and Jordan, and there's like a romance and everything going on there. That's written really well. It is not cheesy. Well, it's a little cheesy, but it's not cheesy to the point where it is annoying. It's kind of similar to how in Smallville, Clark and Lana in the Smallville show, but it doesn't get as ridiculous as that show gets. So, but it's really interesting. These characters, I thought, like, why are they in the show? Why are we focusing on this family so much? But a part of the show's themes is about a small town dying, and they represent that part. They're from Smallville. They lived there their whole lives, and we get to see about what the chaos and what's going on with the financial crisis, with people losing their jobs, with disease. And then also with the ongoing presence of the stranger and what Morgan Edge is doing in Aliens. We get to see a lot of it through their eyes and how they interact with the different people in the town, and we get to learn and love these characters. They all are very flawed characters in the beginning that work through their problems and progress. They're not perfect at the end, but they progress through those problems, and that's another thing that this show does really great with every character that I set up here. Each character, except maybe Superman, starts out one way and they progress towards the end, and they're not a complete different person, but they work through those problems. Superman, the way he is fine. He doesn't need to change. It's the things that are around him that's changing that affects him. That's the type of character he is, and the loss that he suffers. So I think that the show did a great job of writing each of these characters and giving them a reason they're not just there to be there. And now I'm going to talk about some of my favorite episodes that really make this show shine. Some of the really good examples of why the show is great. I'm not going to put them in any particular order because I love them all almost about the same. But episode 1, the 2-hour pilot, was such a great introduction to everything. We set up the family dynamics, the cinematography, the way the action is going to be shot, and it just looked movie-like at the time. Some of the promise in that episode, the way the cinematography is, it doesn't stand throughout the whole season, but we do get it in spots where it's really important. And if I felt like I was watching a part 1 of a movie, and it was really, really good. It really made me feel like, okay, I need to see what's going on with the rest of this show. Episode 8 is called Hold a Wrench, and this is the episode I was talking about, was the Lois Lane episode. That's the episode I watched the show with my mom, and we watch it intently. This is the first superhero show I've seen her watch and love and want to know when it's coming on, and this particular episode really caught us emotionally. Elizabeth Tulloch did a great job of displaying what needs to be displayed to catch our emotions and make us feel emotionally invested, and I cracked a tear. If you watch this episode and it doesn't make you feel a little emotional, you don't have to cry like me because I cry at everything, You have no heart. But this is definitely one of my favorite episodes and one of the best episodes of the season. And in episode 11, it's called Brief Reminiscence Between Cataclysmic Events. Right before this episode happens, something really big happened, and right after this episode, something really big happens. But this is probably my favorite episode of the season. This Superman is being introduced later in his career. They decide to have an episode where there's a flashback to show you how he came to be, why he's the way he is, and then also how he met Lois, how they fell in love, and their different dynamics, where when they had the kids in the timeline. And it's really well written. It really adds a lot to their relationship, but it's not done just to show the flashback. The episode doesn't just end when it shows them getting together. It's part of the main villain's diabolical plan, and the way they tied it all together and also this episode ties back into the finale of the episode. Something gets introduced here that ties back into the finale, so it's one of the most important episodes. It's just really well written. It was really well shot, and it's just one of the most important and best episodes of the season. I really had a lot of fun watching it, and it's one of the best Superman things written ever for TV. In my last episode, like I said, episode 14, this is the pre-finale, the episode before the big bang, the big all-out brawl that's gonna happen, because all these shows gotta end in an all-out brawl. It captures every single thing that was leading up from episode 1 up until this point. All the things I was talking about a city or a town, a small American town failing and suffering, all the alien and sci-fi drama, all the family drama, all coalesces in this episode before the finale. And it starts with all the smaller themes and just layers on. It just keep problem after problem after problem till the end of the episode, which was just like I was scared for the characters in the final minutes. It was just really terrifying what I thought was going to happen to the characters in the final minutes. And I know I've been going on and on about how much I love the show, the characters and stories, but now it's time for me to talk about the bad. I don't know. This stuff is minor, but when I do reviews, I try to think about what other people might feel about the show. I think that some of the VFX and cinematography was inconsistent, and I saw that, but I understood, because being shot during COVID, and there was, time constraints and they had to rush certain things, so they couldn't get it perfect like how most of the episodes are. So some episodes sometimes it never gets bad, but you can just tell that there's a bit of a difference. But they do make it up with every episode has like a beautiful shot that they do. So even in episodes where the cinematography and the VFX is not to the standard that was set in that first episode, they find a way to give you really nice and beautiful shots. So even though I love the Arrowverse and I've watched Flash, Supergirl, Arrow, Black Lightning, and just religiously and go through the season, I've fallen off on some of those shows, a lot of those shows, because of the tropes and some of the things they beat you over the head with, and how it's like 22 episodes and it's just the same thing over and over and over again, same problems they don't learn. A little bit, just a tiny bit, I've seen some of those tropes pop up in this show a little bit. One main thing is that in some of these shows, when they're doing the science jargon, however you say that word, they speak really fast because it seems like the actors don't know what they're talking about, or don't really understand what they're talking about. And there was a scene or two where they did that in this show, and I'm hoping that they limit it to like 1 or 2 scenes. They don't really delve into that, where they speak really fast and you don't really understand what's going on. It wasn't a big problem, but I can see it I can see it unfortunately causing problems for further seasons. So don't be alarmed if you see a scene like that where they try to explain a science thing, it doesn't make any sense, or they speak really fast about it. It's not throughout the season. Tyler Hoechlin's suit was a little too padded, and you can see the difference. When he takes his suit off, he looks a lot smaller, and I think they need to find a way. He's built, but he's not Henry Cavill. So they have the padded suit to make him look the way he needs to look, but you can tell the difference. I didn't mind it too much, but I remember talking to certain people, and it kind of, it didn't turn them off from the show. They still love it. Everybody I put onto the show loves this show, but it does bother them a little bit. I don't think they should go back to his Supergirl suit. I thought that was too skinny, but they should find a happy medium where they can make the suit fit him properly while making him still show off his muscles and how big he is. And the last thing is that even though I love the finale and I think they hit all the right notes, I still think that it should have been Just like the pilot was 2 hours, I think they should have gave the finale a 2-hour finale so they could let some of the scenes breathe. Some of the stuff was rushed a little bit, but it still was a great finale. That was just my only little thing. I think it was just a little too short. Now let's talk about my verdict. I think by my glowing review, you can tell what I'm going to give the show and how I feel about the show, how much I love the show. Hopefully that through this I convince you why this show is my favorite show I've watched all year. Between the cinematography, the well-written dialogue, the well-written out themes and story, the well-written out sci-fi and the comic aspects that you use, like the Eradicator and the Captain Luthor and the multiverse, but also just the core, the family drama and all the characters, and how every episode felt like it had a purpose. It wasn't just a filler episode, or we didn't really have, like, even when we had villains of the week, they served a purpose. They weren't just there just to waste an episode, which is a lot of Arrowverse, a lot of superhero shows do. Obviously, the show had some minor problems, but they didn't bother me that much. Let me know in the comments below what problems you have with the show and what you really loved if you've watched it. But I have to give this show a grade of an A. So like I said, comment down below how you feel about the show, how you feel about my breakdown of the show. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can be notified of my next video, and you actually will watch more right now.